We're now at the point in our soil preparations where we are preparing our beds. We're building our beds up. And we have an employee who is scooping the soil, one scoop to the left, one scoop to the right, one scoop to the left, one scoop to the right. That's going to give us an even distribution of our soil. What we want to do now is to make sure that our trench is lined up with the rib of our greenhouse. That's the pipe that's going directly up over the greenhouse. And you want your employee to follow that as his marker. That's going to give you order in your greenhouse. After he does that, we're going to look at our bed, and what we want to end up with is a 4-foot by 12-foot bed. If it's not 12 foot exactly, that's all right. But our goal is we want to have it 4 foot apart. Our ribs themselves are 5 foot apart. But after we dig the trenches, then we square our bed up. That means we're going to level it off with a rake. Our bed's going to spread out a little bit, so we'll get our 4 feet. That will provide consistency, order, which is very important. You don't want any wasted space. We have a harvesting stool that is going to fit in there just perfectly. And our employees can sit on that stool and they can sit in there and harvest off the stool safely. We are now at the point in the greenhouse and our soil preparations where we are leveling our beds off. We call that squaring up our beds. As you notice that he is pulling the soil in layers. He is not taking large mounds of it. He's pulling it in layers towards him. Also, I want you to notice that he is walking down the middle of the bed. Normally, I myself wouldn't do that, mainly because when you have a seed that you're putting in that bed or a plant, which is started from a plug, you want your soil to be as fluffy as possible. You don't want any compaction in your soil. And when you put that plug in there, your root system is going to be able to take off just very easily. Pulling your sides up on the bed is going to keep your bed square, because as you plant, this bed's going to break down some. The dirt will never stay in one place. When you have a bed that is not level, there's a good chance, depending on your seeding process, that your seeder is going to miss some spots, or you're going to have water that's going to puddle in those uneven spots. And then over the winter time, that's going to create a fungus, which is going to create a bad bacteria. And you don't want that in your greenhouse. It's very hard to control. So at this point, you want to make sure when you finish your bed that you have a pillow at the end of the bed. That is going to be a boundary to people who are walking by. No one is going to walk in that bed. And after you have that bed leveled and squared off, make sure nobody walks in it. You want that bed as fluffy and soft as possible. We have 2 beds here now that have been basically, I would call them manicured. They've been brought to the point where they're squared up, they're nice and level, they look very smooth. They don't have their pillows quite so high yet on the other end. But that's because they haven't been seeded yet. And after we have that seeding done, then we'll go ahead and just, bring those dirt pillows up a little bit more. But this is what you want your beds to look like. They're nice and square and smooth and level. This is your end goal after going through all that soil preparation, all your composting, your tilling, your measuring out beds. This is what you want it to look like before you begin seeding. What we have here is a consistent walking space right down the middle of the greenhouse. As you can see at the French doors down at the end, you can open those doors up to let air in. You have your dirt pillows along the ends of each bed. That's going to communicate a boundary to anybody in this greenhouse. Do not walk in this bed. You will be surprised at how many people just walk through a bed, especially if there's nothing visible sprouting out of it. Also, if you notice that we have nice deep ditches along the side of each bed, the sides have been pulled up. That's going to give us a nice squared up bed. And this is just perfect. This is what you want your greenhouse to look like.